Brother raised his glass and said, "To the best son in the family, me." Everyone laughed. Then Dad said, "And to Michael, our biggest burden." So I smiled and left. My mom wrote, "You'll regret this." I wrote, "Okay." I just stopped paying their bills, and then they broke into my apartment. My father always said that family comes first, that blood is thicker than water, that no matter what happens, we should support each other. And for years, I believed him. I'm Michael Carter. I run a successful plumbing company, built from scratch with my own hands. My crew respects me, my clients trust me, and my name stands for quality work in the city. I'm not rich, but I make enough to live well and enough to make sure my parents never had to struggle because I paid for everything: their mortgage, their bills, their vacations, even the food on their table. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Alex, still lived at home. He was 31 years old and had never worked a serious job in his life, but if you asked my parents, he was the golden son. At every family dinner, Alex would sit beside me, patting my shoulder, saying things like, "Mike works so hard, Mom." I really admire him. I wish I had his discipline, but I just haven't found the right opportunity yet. We should all be grateful for everything Mike does for us. In front of my parents, he was my biggest supporter. Behind my back, he was my worst enemy. I found out the truth by accident. One night, about 2 years ago, I had stopped by my parents' house after work to drop off some groceries. As I stepped inside, I heard a voice from the living room, Alex's voice. "Mom, Dad, you know Mike only does all this to make himself look good, right?" His voice was smooth, confident, like he was stating a fact. "He throws money around so you'll love him more than me, but deep down he resents you for it." I stopped in my tracks. "He told me last week he's tired of paying your bills, that it's a burden, that he hates how much you rely on him." He sighed dramatically. I defended him, of course. I said Mike would never say that, he loves us. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe he does see you as a weight around his neck. I felt my hands clench into fists. Lies, all of it. I had never said any of those things, but Alex, lazy, manipulative Alex, was a master at playing the victim. My mother gasped, "I knew it. He always rushes off after dinner. He never spends time with us." "Exactly," Alex said, "and when he does come by, he acts like he's some kind of hero for paying the bills, like we should be grateful." "Ungrateful little," my father muttered something I couldn't hear. I stepped forward, ready to march into the room and expose Alex for the snake he was. But then I stopped myself, because I realized something. If I walked in now, they wouldn't believe me. Alex had been poisoning their minds against me for years, always playing the humble, struggling son, always making sure they saw him as the good one and me as the selfish one. I took a step back, then another, and I left. I never told Alex I had heard that conversation. I wanted to see how far he would go, and over the next 2 years, I watched it happen. Every time I paid for something, Alex twisted it. Mike just wants control. Every time I didn't visit, Mike doesn't really care about us. Every time I gave them money, Mike thinks he can buy your love. And my parents, they ate it up. Until the night they finally showed me exactly what I was worth to them. The celebration that wasn't mine. The dining room was packed with relatives, the air thick with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the rich scent of roasted lamb. It was my mother's birthday, and I had, of course, paid for everything. The catering, the decorations, even the new dress she was wearing. I stood at the edge of the room, sipping my beer, exhausted from a long day at work but content to see her happy. Then came the toast. "To our wonderful son, Alex," my father announced, raising his glass, "for being the pride of this family, for always being there when we need him." A round of applause. My beer glass froze at my lips. "Alex." I looked at my brother, sprawled lazily in his chair, a cocky grin on his face. He caught my eye and winked. And that was the moment I knew, he had won. He had spent years twisting the truth, manipulating them, rewriting history in his favor. And now, in their eyes, I was nothing. "And to you, Michael," my mother added suddenly, turning toward me with a sweet smile, "for being, well, for being here." Laughter rippled through the room. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. "Here's to Michael," Alex smirked, lifting his glass. "Our little burden." More laughter. A burden. That's what I was to them. Not the son who had kept them afloat all these years. Not the man who had sacrificed his own comfort so they could live well. Just a burden. I set my glass down carefully. My hands were shaking. And for the first time in my life, I didn't swallow it down. I didn't make excuses for them. I didn't pretend it didn't hurt. Instead, I stood up, pulled my coat from the back of my chair, and walked out. I didn't say a word. Behind me, the laughter faded. The music kept playing. No one followed me. By the time I reached my truck, the cold air biting my face, I knew one thing for certain. I was done. That night, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to my landlord. "I'm moving out," I said. "I'll be gone by the weekend." The second was to my bank. "I need to change all my account details, every single one, because as of that moment, my parents weren't my problem anymore." The first few days after moving out felt unreal. I had spent years surrounded by noise, my mother calling to ask for just a little more money, my father sighing about overdue bills, my brother lounging around like a king while I worked 12-hour days, but now in my new apartment, there was nothing but silence, too much silence. I sat on my couch, staring at the unopened boxes around me. This was supposed to feel good. This was supposed to be freedom. Then why did I feel so uneasy? For the first time in my life, I wasn't responsible for anyone but myself. No one was asking me for anything. No one was guilt-tripping me into paying for something. And yet, deep down, I felt something stirring. A nagging voice in the back of my mind. How long before they come looking for you? I didn't have to wait long to find out. The next morning, my phone exploded with missed calls and messages. Mom, where are you? Why are you ignoring us? Dad, this is ridiculous. Pick up the phone. Alex, dude, what is wrong with you? I ignored them all. Then, in the afternoon, a different kind of message arrived. Bank notification, unusual login attempt detected. I frowned. A moment later, another message appeared, your password has been changed successfully. What? A cold chill ran down my spine. I immediately called the bank, my heart pounding. Sir, did you authorize a login from a new device today? The bank representative asked. No. And you didn't request a password reset? Absolutely not. A long pause, then, sir, someone attempted to access your account from an unfamiliar location. We've locked your online banking for now. You'll need to visit a branch to reset everything. I closed my eyes and exhaled slowly. I knew exactly who was behind this. Alex. It wasn't enough for him that I had been paying for everything our whole lives. Now that I had finally cut them off, he was trying to take what wasn't his. But what truly shocked me wasn't the fact that he had done this. It was the fact that he actually thought he'd get away with it. That evening, I drove to my parents' house, a storm of emotions raging inside me, anger, disbelief, and something else I didn't want to admit. Hurt. Because deep down, I still held on to the ridiculous hope that maybe, just maybe, my parents would finally see Alex for what he was. That they would finally open their eyes and realize that he had been manipulating them for years. That they would defend me, the son who had been taking care of them all this time. I should have known better. As I stepped inside, there was Alex, lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. He looked up, smirking. Hey man, thought you were dead. I didn't answer. I just tossed my phone onto the coffee table, the fraud alert message still glowing on the screen. Alex's smirk twitched. Oh, he said. That. Yeah, I said, my voice calm but cold. He leaned back, stretching. Relax, I was just checking something. I took a slow step closer. You were trying to steal from me. He scoffed. Come on, Mike, don't be so dramatic. It's not like you ever said you wouldn't keep helping out. You just walked away, expecting us to figure things out. What did you think was going to happen? I just stared at him, his confidence, his arrogance, the way he acted like he was the victim here. Did he even believe what he was saying? Before I could respond, my mother stormed into the room. There you are, she snapped, her face red. Do you have any idea what you've done? I turned toward her, but she was already charging ahead. Your father's blood pressure has been through the roof. I had to cancel my hair appointment because I was so stressed. And Alex, she gestured dramatically at my brother, has been trying to keep everything together while you've been off sulking. I blinked. Trying to keep everything together? Did she even hear herself? Trying to keep everything together? I repeated, my voice quiet. By hacking into my bank account? She waved a hand dismissively. Oh, don't be ridiculous. Alex was just trying to see if you were still part of this family. I stared at her, feeling my stomach drop. They knew. They knew what Alex had done. And they didn't care. I looked between them, trying to make sense of it. How? How can they not see through him? How can they not see what he's doing? How can they be so blind? I had spent my whole life believing that if I just worked harder, if I just gave more, if I just proved myself enough, they would finally see the truth. But now I understood something that should have been obvious years ago. They weren't blind. They just chose to believe Alex over me. No matter what I did, no matter how much I sacrificed, no matter how much I gave, Alex could do no wrong in their eyes. And me? I was nothing more than a tool to them. A resource. A bank account. A burden. That was the moment something inside me snapped. The final goodbye. I turned toward the door. Where do you think you're going? My mother demanded. I didn't look back. You don't get to just walk away, she yelled. We're your family. I stopped, and in the coldest voice I had ever used, I said, no. You were my obligation. And I just canceled it. Silence. For the first time, even Alex had nothing to say. I stepped outside, feeling the cold night air hit my face. For years, I had let them control me, let them guilt me into believing that I owed them something. But now I was done. And no matter what they tried next, because I knew they would try something, I wasn't coming back. I had cut them off, I had moved out, I had made it clear that I was done, but they weren't. The calls turned to threats. For the first few days, the calls and messages didn't stop. Mom, Michael, this is not how a son behaves, we need to talk. Dad, come home now, enough of this nonsense. Alex, dude, you're being ridiculous, just come over and let's fix this. I ignored every single one. Then the tone changed. Mom, do you really want to abandon your family after everything we did for you? Dad, you think you're so independent, let's see how long that lasts when you have no one left. Alex, you are making a big mistake, if you keep acting like this, don't expect us to be there when you come crawling back. Crawling back. They still didn't get it. They thought this was just some tantrum, that I'd get lonely and come running home, wallet in hand. But I wasn't coming back. And that was when things got worse. Strange encounters. One evening, as I walked to my truck after work, I noticed a car parked across the street. It wasn't one I recognized, but something about it felt off. The next day, it was there again. And the next. Different parking spots, but always watching. At first, I thought I was imagining it, maybe I was just paranoid. Then, one night, I left my apartment late to grab some food. As I stepped outside, I saw a man standing near the corner of the building, pretending to check his phone. When I walked past him, he didn't move, but in the reflection of a store window, I saw him watching me. I turned around. Hey! He looked up, startled, then, without a word, he walked off, quickly disappearing down the street. That's when I knew this wasn't paranoia. Someone was following me. The private investigator. I didn't have to guess who was behind it. The next morning, I checked my mother's messages. Mom, we just want to know that you're okay. If you won't talk to us, we'll find another way. Another way. They had hired someone to watch me. I had left them, and instead of respecting my decision, they were tracking me like a criminal. For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt something I hadn't expected. Fear. Not just anger, not just frustration, real fear. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was control. And I had no idea how far they were willing to go to get it back. The breaking point. I decided I needed to put an end to this. So that evening, I did something I knew would draw them out. I sent a message to the family group chat. Michael, I know you hired someone to follow me. Stop now, or I'll go to the police. Less than a minute later, my phone rang. Mom. I picked up. How dare you threaten us, she hissed. We're just worried about you, you left without a word, and now you're accusing us of spying on you? I clenched my jaw. Because that's exactly what you're doing. We just want to be sure you're safe, she snapped, but I see now, you don't care about this family at all. I forced a laugh. That's funny, because I cared for this family every single day until I finally realized something. Realized what? She demanded. That you don't actually love me, I said, my voice steady. You just love what I can do for you. Silence. Then her voice dropped to an icy, sharp whisper. You think you're so smart, so independent. Who's going to cook for you? Who's going to wash your clothes? Who's going to clean up after you when you realize you can't do anything for yourself? I froze. Not because she was right, but because I suddenly understood why she was so sure I would come back. Growing up, my mother had never let me take care of myself. If I tried to do laundry, she would push me aside. You'll ruin your clothes. If I tried to cook, she would snatch the knife from my hands. You'll cut yourself. If I tried to clean, she would shake her head. You'll just make it worse. And over time, without even realizing it, I had stopped trying. I had spent years believing she was just being a caring mother, that she was just helping, but now I saw it for what it really was. It was control. She had never wanted me to be independent. She had raised me to need her. And now that I had left, she refused to believe that I could survive on my own. You'll regret this, Michael, she said, her voice dripping with certainty. You can pretend all you want, but you will come crawling back. And when you do, don't expect us to welcome you with open arms. And she hung up. That was the moment I knew. They weren't stopping. And if I didn't take drastic action, they would never leave me alone. Preparing for war. I spent the next morning at the bank, changing every single financial detail I had. New accounts, new cards, new passwords. Then I called a lawyer. I need to make sure my family has no access to me, my finances, or anything I own, I told him. Understood, he said. I'll draft a legal notice immediately. If they attempt to access anything of yours again, we'll take action. That was step 1. Step 2 was the police. I walked into the station, took a deep breath, and said, I need to file a harassment report. Because I wasn't running, I wasn't hiding, I was fighting back. And I wasn't going to lose. I had taken every precaution, new bank accounts, a legal warning from my lawyer, a harassment report filed with the police. I thought that would be enough. I was wrong. Crossing the line. For a few days, things were quiet, too quiet. The call stopped, the text stopped, even the strange car that had been following me was gone. For the first time in weeks, I let myself breathe. Maybe, just maybe, they had finally given up. Then, one evening, I came home from work and immediately knew something was wrong. My apartment door was slightly open. My stomach twisted. I had locked it that morning, I was sure of it. I stepped inside cautiously, my muscles tense. And then I saw them. The invasion. Sitting on my couch, as if they owned the place, were my mother, my father, and Alex. My mother was flipping through my mail, my father was inspecting the apartment, shaking his head in disapproval, Alex was stretched out comfortably, looking completely at home. Finally, my mother sighed, tossing an envelope onto the coffee table. Do you know how long we had to wait? I could barely breathe. You broke into my apartment, I asked, my voice low, dangerous. My father scoffed. Broke in? Don't be ridiculous. Your mother still has a spare key from when she helped you move in. Honestly, Michael, you should be thanking us. This place is a mess. Look at this, he gestured toward my kitchen, dirty dishes everywhere, clothes on the chair. Is this really how you want to live? I couldn't even register his words. My mother smiled as if this was normal. I knew you'd need us, she said. You are not ready to live on your own. You think you can just cut off your family and suddenly be independent? Who's going to take care of you? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. You need to leave. Alex laughed. Relax, man, we just came to talk. I turned to him, and something in my stare must have made him uneasy, because his smirk faded. I'm calling the police, I said. My mother's eyes widened. Michael, don't be dramatic. I pulled out my phone. My father stood up sharply. Enough of this nonsense. You've made your point. Now it's time to come home. I stared at him. Home. You've had your little rebellion, he said, his voice firm. Now it's time to grow up. You're coming back with us, and this foolishness ends now. I almost laughed. They really thought they could force me back. I held up my phone. You have exactly 10 seconds to leave before I call the cops. Silence. Then my mother's face twisted in anger. You were going to call the police on your own family? She hissed. You stopped being my family the moment you broke into my home, I said coldly. She stood up, shaking with rage. After everything we've done for you, you ungrateful, selfish child. Done for me? I let out a bitter laugh. You mean raising me to serve this family? You mean using me as a bank? You mean never seeing me as anything other than a tool? Her face flushed. We sacrificed for you. We gave you a home, a family. You gave me a prison, I said. She took a step closer, her voice sharp as a blade. And what happens when you fail, Michael? Because you will fail. You don't know how to live without us. You're going to crawl back one day, begging for help, and when that day comes, I hit dial. The moment she heard the ringing, her face paled. You were really doing this, Alex muttered, standing up. For the first time, he actually looked nervous. My father's jaw clenched. Enough, he muttered, grabbing my mother's arm. Let's go. But she wasn't done. You think you've won, she spat. You think you can just erase us from your life? I met her gaze. Watch me. And with that, they left. The aftermath. The police arrived 20 minutes later. I told them everything, the stalking, the break-in, the threats. They took my statement, checked my locks, and warned me to stay alert. Do you want to press charges? The officer asked. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to. But another part of me just wanted them gone. For now, just a restraining order, I said. Because this wasn't about revenge. This was about finally ending it. And as I locked my door that night, truly alone for the first time, I felt something I had never felt before. Peace. It had been 6 months since that night. 6 months since I called the police, since I changed my locks, my phone number, my life. 6 months since I had any contact with my family. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could finally breathe. Freedom tastes like coffee in silence. I sat in my office, sipping my morning coffee as I went through the day's schedule. My plumbing business was thriving, more clients, bigger contracts, and for the first time, I was thinking about expanding. My team respected me, my clients valued my work, and the best part, every single dollar I made was mine. No unexpected bills from my parents, no demands for help, no texts from Alex pretending he needed money for something important. Just peace. It was almost strange, living without that constant weight on my shoulders. Almost. Because I had never felt lighter. Meanwhile, back at the house, I hadn't reached out to them, I hadn't asked about them, but I still heard things. Alex had finally been forced to get a job when the bills started piling up. Apparently, it lasted 2 weeks before he quit, complaining that work just wasn't for him. My parents had to downsize after falling behind on mortgage payments. Without my financial help, their comfortable life wasn't so comfortable anymore. They tried to borrow money from relatives, but I wasn't the only one who had caught on to their ways. In short, they were struggling, and part of me wanted to feel sorry for them. But I didn't. Because they had done this to themselves. The last attempt. It was a Sunday afternoon when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. I pressed the answer button, and the voice that greeted me sent an old, familiar chill down my spine. Michael, honey, it's your mother. I exhaled slowly, leaning back in my chair. I knew this moment would come eventually. I was just thinking about you, she continued, her voice unusually soft. It's been so long. Don't you think it's time we put this all behind us? I let the silence stretch. Then she sighed dramatically. Listen, your father and I, we've had a rough time. We just want to see you, that's all. Can't we just have dinner together, as a family? I almost laughed. As a family. The same family that had treated me like an ATM. That had broken into my home. That had stalked me, threatened me, tried to make me feel small. And now that they were struggling, now they wanted to talk. I kept my voice calm. I hope you're doing well, Mom. She jumped at the kindness. Oh, sweetheart, I knew you'd come around. But we have nothing to talk about. Silence. Then her voice hardened. Michael, don't be like this. We're still your parents. We raised you, we took care of you. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. And I paid you back for that. 1,000 times over. That's not the point, she snapped. You are acting like you don't even care about us anymore. I sighed. I don't think you understand, Mom. You didn't lose me 6 months ago. You lost me years ago. More silence. Then her voice turned ice cold. Fine. But don't expect us to be there when you need us. I smiled. I haven't needed you for a long time. And with that, I ended the call. The final goodbye. I put my phone down, staring at the screen for a moment, waiting for the guilt, the sadness, the pain, but it never came. Because I finally understood something I should have realized years ago. Family isn't about blood, it's about respect. And if someone, anyone, only values you for what you can do for them, they're not family, they're just people who used to know you. I stood up, stretched, and grabbed my keys. I had a business to run, a life to enjoy, and a future that belonged only to me. And this time, I was never looking back.